Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
It worried me for a minute because your screen said starting at 4, and I thought that I had put the wrong time on the flyer.
Wonder why I said that.
Like your Zoom thing, it's probably just a time zone thing.
Oh, it does say 4 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I took off the waiting room so people should be able to get in. Hi, Mandy. How are things going for you, Mandy? Good? Yeah, you can come off mute if you can or if you want.
Yeah, I was trying to get off mute. It's going well. They don't want to do work in the classroom, so why are they going to do it online?
Yeah. That's a real struggle, but how are you guys handling that dynamic and then also keeping up with your own kids and stuff that way? So?
Yeah, trying to get my own kids to do their work is really hard.
Yeah.
They're both on Seesaw. So I'm learning Seesaw and while I'm doing Zoom and
Yeah.
all of the teams and
Right. You guys get the best of all worlds. You get to see it all. So I guess I can say best of all worlds. It may not feel that way sometimes, but
been getting emails at like 2 and text at 4 from parents though.
yeah. Well, we're supposed to have, let me find that information again. I think about 7 of us, but I know a couple mentioned they weren't going to be able to make it live. So we'll give it obviously a couple minutes here to give people time to get in.
I do like that my kids' teachers are using Zoom to meet with the classes.
Yeah, that real-time stuff can really help.
My students have sketchy internet and can only do it when parents are home or something like that. So I can't really do it very well.
Yeah, it's definitely tougher for a secondary teacher and an elementary teacher that just has a few.
Does Janelle never show her face?
She does when she's presenting.
Oh. I figured maybe she has crazy wild hair or something.
Well, she may have that. I was giving her a hard time early on in this stuff because every time we met, you could see the headboard of her bed. So I asked her if she was ever getting herself out of bed. That was like 2 weeks into it when she was doing all the videos, trying to get everything, ready for teachers and all that stuff. So
She's probably one of those, we can see all the roots of her hair and stuff.
That is the truth. I have to defend myself. I had horrible allergy attack this weekend. My eyes are still almost swollen shut. So I'm off camera until I have to be. And yes, the roots are a problem too. So, and yes, I'm still in the bed doing all my work.
Lazy bum.
I'm really trying to figure out where Lamb is at.
I've had some new little things put in so I could watch spreadsheets and the growth over other countries.
Oh, that's interesting.
Actually, I'm in one of the Star Wars war rooms.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not a Star Wars guy, so I wouldn't know that. Well, and thank you, Mr. Lamb, for being here. And I know you're on a phone call now, but I know he's also got another call to get on, but I appreciate him supporting all of these things. Joanna, can you hear us? Okay. Cindy, can you hear us? All right. I know Mandy could earlier, so I think we're good that way. We've got two others that I didn't hear specifically from saying they weren't going to be able to make it. So I may give it just a couple more minutes here. I know there's one that was on the list that's not able to make it live. He was going to try to get in after some other meetings that he had. I guess I can start off with some of the conversational part of this. I really don't want this to be truly me just presenting for an hour and you guys trying to take notes and stuff like that. I just realized that I did not make my link friendly for you, so hang on one second while I do that as well. But I do want to hear kind of what you're hoping to get out of this, so I might go in order here of how I see you, and I'll call on you and you can come off of mute. But I'm just curious as to what about this session intrigued you, you know, what you're hoping maybe to get from this so that I can cater some of the conversation to specific maybe requests that you have and things like that. So Mandy, I'm going to let you do that. Oh, Mr. Lamb, do you need to ask something right now, or?
Yeah, I'm going to jump off a minute and get a different Zoom started for somebody else, and then we'll come back in.
All right, no problem. Mandy, go ahead, and if you want to just jump off of mute and just kind of explain what you were maybe hoping to get from this, maybe some things that you've been doing that, you know, attracted you to this session.
I'm just trying to figure out another way to use Teams, a different way, because I'm using like going to Prodigy or IXL or Reflex Math, but they're bored with that. So I was going to see if there was something else that I could do.
Okay. Let's see, Joanna, if you could talk.
Where it said this is like the home run stretch of distance learning. Like we have so many good resources. Like for us, we have Empowering Writers, and Seesaw has a lot of great activities too. But basically just bringing it all in the last couple weeks and just finishing strong, basically, with good activities and how to find them.
Okay. And Cindy?
Well, I basically agree with Mandy. These kids are getting kind of bored with what we have going on right now. And so I just really like to find something that's a little more engaging for them, a little different twist to what they're already doing.
Okay. So, I mean, essentially along the lines of what the description said, we know that that is always, sorry, I'm trying to type and do this at the same time. We know that it is always challenging to keep them engaged, even when we have them face-to-face in a normal setting and they can interact with each other. And now it just gets that much crazier. You know, early on, it was really easy. They were all kind of excited about connecting again and seeing what it was they were supposed to do in the whole 9 yards. And now, you know, that newness is worn off. When the newness wears off, it gets more challenging, I think, to keep anybody excited. I'm just trying to get this last little link over here. I should have had all my stuff prepared ahead of time, but Janelle will be proud of me. I actually have a PowerPoint just to try to stay somewhat organized, and I hate PowerPoint. She always hears me say that. But I'm trying to follow her lead on how to do a webinar more effectively for people actually sitting in it too. So, and not
Hey,
just.
John, I have a link that goes to the notes. Do you want me to drop that in anywhere? Do you want other people to put ideas on that, or do you have a place to collect that, or you just want me to do it?
If you want to put that in the chat, I'm going to also put the link to the PowerPoint that I have. I just dropped that in the chat for everybody. But
Okay.
if you can drop that in, what Janelle's talking about is she started a document that we can start to brainstorm kind of when we get to the discussion point here of different ideas that you guys have for us and things that maybe you've seen or heard other people do. Let me share my screen real fast here. And sorry, I got too many things going. All right, so hopefully you can see the Digital Chef PowerPoint slide there, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm gonna get my chat open back up again and stuff so that I have all of that where
Why did mine only go to you? I have to put everyone.
you probably need to click on the little there's a little icon in the top corner of those things where it says speaker view or some other stuff on it. But also when
Okay.
you share the screen, that for you guys, that stuff minimizes. There's a way, and we can talk about that another time. There's a way that we can make it where you can see it, because I've got everybody showing now, and I've got the chat and the other stuff. But again, I've got 3 screens running, so it's easier to do it that way. But let me just kind of get started here. So here's the link that you can use if you want to get to this PowerPoint. I don't have all the links in there and everything that I would have liked to have had. I love getting to present and do trainings. I just don't have enough time in the day right now to really focus on building up the content of it with links and everything as pretty as I need to do. That's an excuse, but I apologize that it's not more complete, but I will add stuff in over the next couple days and make sure that all that's clickable. But if you guys want to be able to follow along with it on your own or look back at this later, that's a link you can use for that. What Janelle was talking about, what Janelle was talking
Won't
about.
let me share to everyone. You must have a setting, so you'll have to share that link out.
Okay, I'll share that out in a few minutes. Janelle's created a document that's going to let us just brainstorm and put stuff on that document, and we'll look at that in a few minutes. So I'll get that to you. Real quick, I want to just talk about the 2 upcoming webinars that we have this Thursday and the next Tuesday at this same time period. And we're getting into just other ways for you to connect, find good content. So it's an expansion upon what we're doing right now with this session. And it's going to be a little bit more structured in ways that will get you connected with other educators, with things on Twitter, the whole 9 yards, how to curate and put the things that you find in a place where you can remember how to share that out with your peers and everything else later. And then we'll finish it with a creation idea or some creation ideas that we can use to try to maybe get students doing a little bit more than just kind of what I'm going to call the static information gathering and information exchange that you're getting through Seesaw and Teams right now. So those are coming up, and you can see those there. To just kind of touch on things, this isn't necessarily the order that things are going to happen in, but creativity, I think that's an area where we can really start to explore things now. And as you guys mentioned a few minutes ago, your kids are kind of getting bored and worn out with the same stuff, and you're looking for something new. So let's start entertaining some creative ways to connect with them. I'm also going to say this with Mr. Lamb on the call where he can hear it the way I'm saying it. Content's always important, and we definitely have things that we need to cover, but this is a golden opportunity in these last few weeks to really, play with some of your lesson ideas. This wouldn't necessarily be what we do, in a regular day, but think about you've got field days and all kinds of other stuff at the end of the year. So this is kind of that kind of content that we're going to look at. I don't have it broken down by elementary and secondary, but I did try to get both of those in there. Some of them are definitely going to be more elementary focused or more secondary focused. So just, be aware of that. I'm also trying to touch on things though that you can use for all subjects and all areas. And I'm trying to use tools and ideas that I think would, play across all subject areas and grade levels as well. I do want to finish with discussion time. I want there to be built-in time for you guys to talk and not just to be talked at. So when we talk about creativity, I could go on, for a whole presentation just about creativity, but creativity, anyone can be creative. The worst thing that I ever hear is, oh, I'm not creative. That's for people like you or people like someone else. I don't consider myself extremely creative, but I can be, and I can force myself to be especially. It's also anywhere. You could be standing in Walmart line and you see the guy in front of you that has some goofy mask, and in some way that sparks an idea for a lesson because things that are happening in your classroom. Always be on the lookout for creativity and for different ideas. I've seen lots of ideas that I actually used in the classroom back in the day that I got off of People magazine and the other tabloid magazines at the supermarket checkout counter. So anywhere is really truly meant to be that inspiration for where you can get different ideas. And then anything. Sometimes we think creativity has to be just something really out there, and it doesn't. Creativity can be simple, really simple things that you do, but because you present that information in just a little different way, you now spark a different, something different in a student that is going to really capture their interest and their intrigue. And that, in the nutshell, is really what we're trying to do. We're trying to intrigue our students enough to want to learn. And the more we can do that this time, with this craziness, the better off we can be. So I'm going to start off by kind of sharing a few different apps and things that we'll talk about throughout the rest of the session. Flipgrid's going to come up, and anybody that knows me knows that I'm a devout Flipgrid, junkie. I think it's an incredible community. I think this is a tool that every single teacher should explore, even when we're back in a regular classroom. And it's because it is so flexible and it offers you so many different opportunities to do things. I don't have time during this session to go in depth in Flipgrid, but I will spend one-on-one time with anybody that wants it. And then we've got recorded webinars that we've already done that some of you guys have, sat through before as well. Loom is another simple idea, and I'll kind of show some examples of where that could actually be used. It's just something that with a Windows 10 computer, that makes it really easy for you to do screen shares or just record videos in general. And the big advantage of that is that you get a link that's easy to share, and it's not going to be blocked by elementary students or by the devices that the elementary students use. So we'll talk more about why that can be creative and how it can fit this stuff. Capwing is a new tool that I found using some of the things that we're going to talk about on Thursday, but it's really cool. And so this meme over here that kind of got cut off, I'll show it to you in a few minutes. It's got all kinds of free opportunities for you to create stuff. I will say this, I wouldn't necessarily ask my students to use Capwing. We have not investigated that. And when they do stuff, it's going to be public. But for you to create stuff that you're going to share in different ways with your students, I think it's a really cool, neat website that I've really not even fully gotten into. Adobe Spark, just because we all have access to that, from 4th grade up, at least the students have access, and it's really simple to use, and it's got some different powerful things. The Memojis concept, I would love to do a whole session on that, but it's going to take me some time even to get that ready. But I'll show you some examples of things people have done with that as well. So let's start just jumping into some things on Flipgrid. PE teachers have taken on Flipgrid and TikTok, okay? And I hate TikTok. I despise TikTok. My daughters spend all kinds of time, and they do all these stupid dances to them. And when you watch it, it's all teenage girls with half shirts and yoga pants, and it's totally inappropriate for a 48-year-old man to be able to look at TikTok. But I found some good things through Twitter that people have shared through TikTok. So we have 2 different PE teachers from different school districts, and I'm going to pull up Twitter to show you the examples of what I'm talking about here. And again, I should have had those things already linked out for you, but and hopefully you can hear the sound and stuff on my computer here in just a second. Okay, so they've taken a TikTok challenge that has Angry Birds, and they've applied it to PE where they're doing planks and push-ups and stuff, mixed in with that. Again, I know that we don't necessarily have a bunch of PE teachers on here, but just start thinking about the different subjects we could do. How could we add math into some of this? And so this PE teacher is doing PE stuff, but I could see this being an elementary math thing really easily too, especially kindergarten, counting, stuff like that. So she just did the watermelon challenge. And of course that figures I somehow got my link copied wrong. So let me find just Twitter here real fast and the search box. So what this would require, this would definitely require parents getting involved, because you're going to have to get, your younger ones into, nuts, now I'm forgetting this lady's name. Well, you kind of get the idea of it. She's doing the same thing the other guy was doing, but the difference now is that she is, oops, now I totally lost all my stuff here. See if I can get back to this PowerPoint quickly. She's counting watermelons as it goes. And so I keep losing my PowerPoint. I really am tech savvy, I promise. But for your elementary students, they could easily go through and do that. But I would also challenge you you know, what other TikTok challenges out there or other social media challenges do you know of that you could somehow tie into it? Maybe it's a story that you've read in class, and so there's something you could do that would, you know, tie into being able to create the challenge that way. Or I'm going to just throw it out there, just send out something that you can do that's fun, that has nothing to do instructionally. I think right now that's okay. You know, we say up to 3 lessons. Do 2 lessons and do 1 fun activity that's just going to get your kids engaged. And I say that with Mr. Lamb sitting there. If he disagrees, he can tell me, but I don't think he will. Now I'm going to jump ahead and then I'll get into some other examples of all this stuff. Loom and the iPad screen recorder. So Loom has an advantage in the sense that for your Windows devices, it can allow you to record your screens and do whatever you need to that way. It has all kinds of options for you as the teacher to be able to get in here and put stuff in folders and the whole 9 yards. The reality of it is all I want to get across on this is that you can record your screen. So when we talk in a little bit, we're going to talk about ways to maybe start letting your students create a lesson. So, you know, if I'm talking about science in 4th grade, and maybe I'm going to talk about the water cycle, well, then I could have every student is going to take on a different portion of the water cycle and explain what happens during that. And they can do it through different methods. One thing you can do is, with that being an iPad related thing, is you could just have them use the iPad's built-in screen recorder. Now you might need to go through a little explanation yourself for them to teach them how to do that, but it's built in on the iPads already. Loom would do the same thing on the computer for the middle school and high school students, as well as for you as a teacher. So when you start to create those videos now, that might just be the student, you know, creating a video, but then holding up their camera and being able to show what's happening on that. And they could actually do a presentation kind of live and get some sort of recording with it. Loom just came out, and I say this, I'm going to say it, I'm going to be wrong, but let me, because I think that was the email I just got a few minutes ago, and I want to prove myself right here. Yes, Loom came out with an iPad app as well, so we'll look into that and see about maybe pushing that out to students. The problem with that is it's going to require accounts for them, so I don't think we're going to mess with it, but it's just another food for thought on that. But the built-in iPad thing, so how are we going to use some of those things? Well, let's just take a quick look. Andy Knieven here is super awesome. He's a 5th grade teacher in Indiana, and I've gotten to meet him and hang out with him at different conferences and stuff. But Andy's just doing a simple thing, and this is just a little GIF or GIF, depending on how you like to pronounce that. And he put it into his Twitter profile. And what he's doing with his kids is he's just saying it's a simple introduction to a lesson that lets his students see him in the real world, okay? And the more we can get that kind of connection with our kids in the real world right now, the better off they're gonna be, because they're gonna get to a point where it starts to make sense. So they see you in the backyard talking about something about, you know, fumes and flames and gas and, you know, how fire would work or whatever it is. You know, maybe it's a ball bouncing and you're out there, you know, bouncing a ball around and you look silly doing it. Something as simple as that, and you just recording that, which again, you could do with your computer if you didn't want to use your phone, use Loom, and you can actually record just the camera and it would record what you're doing and the voice and everything else. You could also do that through Flipgrid. There's other ways that you can get it done. You can also then, you know, he's just something really simple and cheesy here, but you can see it in motion where he's now moving, the smoke is coming off the fire, and it just looks a little bit cooler as an introduction to a lesson. That and how you get that stuff done, we can go into other webinars and talk about those things. But just think about it when you are sending home something in Seesaw or in Teams or whatever else it is that has something like this in it, or a quick video of you describing what's really happening, as opposed to it being the text within a Teams assignment, because you can link this video into that as well. So again, trying to stay simple with ideas here and practical and things that you can do quick. Now this next one leads me to really the next slide, and it's the main reason for having it in there. But just to pull it up real fast here, this is the gist of everything we're talking about here for the last, you know, the last leg. But teachers who put relationships first don't just have students for 1 year. They have students who view them as their teacher for life, okay? And we want students to be thinking about learning for life. This is, you know, the question that I get even from my own daughter. Why do we have to do all this stuff? Because it's learning. learning's important, learning's valuable, and we've got to model that. We've got to do everything we can to make sure that it's out there. Now, there's nothing special about that tweet. The point being is the message behind it, and then what can you do with things? Again, you showing yourself in the light of what is your normal world right now carries a lot of weight with your students. So that brings me to some other, what I'm going to call fun and fluff activities right now. And I want technology use to be a lot more than just fun and fluff, but I think this is a time period where fun and fluff has a place. So a Flipgrid dance off. I can't floss, I'll do it for you right now, or I can floss, that's about the only dance move I can do. And so, you know, as you start doing this, you get into that. If you did something as simple as flossing with your students on a Flipgrid and asking them to do it, you're going to get more response from them. And then maybe you even sneak in some sort of other lesson with that. Maybe it's as they're flossing, they have to, you know, spell 5 words that are important for them to be spelling it, or explain what they learned in middle school science, you know, on the topic that you did on one of your other 2 assignments. And this is the 3rd and the follow-up one. But something as fun and simple with elementary kids especially, they would love to do that dance off. And then you can put all of it, once you've gone through that and you've explained to the parents kind of what's going on too, you could put all the other kids' pictures and videos up there, and the kids can even, you know, challenge each other to do something. They love the social media stuff, but especially the elementary ones struggle with being able to have access to all of that social media. So why not bring some of it in? So a TikTok challenge that's just done on Flipgrid, you know, through one of the dances or something, then that would be a great way to get them back engaged. And once they get engaged with that lesson, they might just go and look at one of your other lessons and try to do something with it. So that's kind of there. So the TikTok challenges is, you know, really tied into the same thing there at the beginning. Social media challenges and shares. I'm going to click on this one. Maybe not. I'm just going to have to click on it and do it the normal way. But I guess before I get too far into this one, let me explain kind of what I'm talking about with this. So social media challenges and shares, and I said done through parents with their consent and help. Anything, especially middle school down, high school students probably all have their own accounts, and you know, some of their parents probably don't even know it, and if they do, they don't care. But middle school and down, I would still say this is something that you'd want to talk about. Hey, get your parents to help you use a parent's account, something like that. But it'd be fun to see on parents, you know, Facebook accounts, all the different things they're doing in these social media challenges. And we're going to do some examples of that with PE, hopefully next week. But with that said, let me show you this. So this is just a simple thing that, you know, this student did the activity that they were supposed to do, and they shared it out on social media. So as part of the lesson that you do in a project or an assignment that you have your kids doing, have a follow-up to that where it's not necessarily mandatory, but hey, we want to have your parents share it out and give them a hashtag. And they can share it out on Facebook, Twitter, you know, whichever ones you are active on or you're interested in allowing them to do that. How cool would it be if they tagged, you know, SSISD in it, and then they used the hashtag that you had, so we could go in and people could just see the different things that are happening with our students and how they're learning. The kids love to be seen on social media. So it's just a really simple way to do something that you're already doing, but add a little twist to it about sharing it out, you know, on a media platform, and maybe tweaking it so that it's appropriate to do that. The I Spy picture submissions, and I said through a Microsoft form, Seesaw, or many other tools, but again, I could have a lesson. This is probably still geared more towards elementary, but I just need you to go out and find, you know, a leaf that has these characteristics. And so they're going to go take a picture of that, and they can submit that through Seesaw really easily. But even if you're a secondary teacher, you can create a Microsoft form with a file upload question type, and they go into that form, and when they click on that button, then it requires them to pull up an image that they've taken. So they could take their laptop out, find that you know, copy of that leaf or that version of that leaf, and then upload that in, and you get all the pictures in, so you're getting to see something. And again, there's other ways that you could get those pictures in. But again, that's just something super simple and quick that you could do that starts to bring media into it. Teacher or students love to do anything media related, taking pictures, taking videos, the whole 9 yards. Videos would be a little harder to upload through Microsoft Forms, but there's probably some ways you could get that accomplished. I would say if you're going to do that, use Loom and just tell them to drop the link to that Loom video into it. But again, for your younger ones, that would be a little bit tougher. But with their iPads, they can take pictures all day long, super easy. And you could still do the Microsoft Form concept on that. Now the follow my lead, build upon the last person. So we could do a story, we could do anything else. And in the Flipgrid, it's one person is going to have a different part of what the story is. So we want to do kind of a read aloud. Well, now Mandy's going to read this part of it. I'm going to read this part. Cindy's going to read that part. Joanna's going to read another part, on and on and on. And then as a teacher, you can kind of rearrange those videos through some other things within Flipgrid that are built in. And you could actually have it where the whole class reads the story. And by doing that, they're getting to read a little bit. The whole class is getting to hear them read, and you're getting to hear other kids read to each other. That could be done through a Word document as well. Let's all create a story, and this story is going to be about what we're doing during distance learning. And so everybody adds a sentence to the story, and we can practice that a little bit on our shared document later. But anything follow my lead or build upon the last person concept is just another option to use, hopefully to get your kids kind of thinking and working with each other throughout this process. Again, depending on age and depending on device access and stuff, some of that will be easier than others to do. We can go more in depth into those ideas if that intrigues you though. Daily updates, and I said via Flipgrid or other social media sites. So if for the last couple weeks of school, you did a daily update for your students of what you're doing and maybe how the things that you're doing relate to the stuff that you learn in class, I think your kids would be engaged and want to watch that. I think your teachers might want to watch it. I also think it'd be really cool for you to have your students journal, so to speak, through a Flipgrid response every day. What have you done in your distance learning? How has this worked? Give them some specific prompts. But now you're going to essentially build a 2 or 3 week journal of what they're doing. And it'd be really neat to see, and it would have been really, really neat if we could have started this at the very beginning. But this could even be extended into the summer a little bit if you just wanted to stay engaged with your kids. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of those as well, just to give you an idea of kind of what I'm talking about. And again, hopefully you're hearing my sound when I play the videos. If you don't, holler at me. So this guy is really talking to other teachers and stuff, but
28th, 2020, and it is the second day of the Can eLearn DL Symposium, Digital Learning Symposium for
right now his again is geared towards adults and he's doing something, but as simple as you just showing your kids in your world, I think your kids respond to you different. I think that relationship component of things builds up. I think it really has some power to it. The other one is a guy that I just wanted to put in here because he is one of the people on social media that I really enjoy listening to or learning from. His name is Joe Sanfilippo, and he's a principal up in Wisconsin. Actually, I think now he's a superintendent in Wisconsin. But he does.
Bike check. It is clearly 6 o'clock here. Wednesday night, Fall Creek, Wisconsin. Nothing in the bike rack over there, but that's a mongoose bike. That's a mongoose bike. See, I hear voices. I hear kid voices, and I see mongoose bikes. There are no kids to be found around here. None. It's like they just disappeared into the air. These bikes. What? All right, people, as you can see, it's 7 o'clock right now. I've circumnavigated the entire building looking for these kids. I got nothing. I come back to where we started. Mongoose bikes are gone. They're all gone. I don't know what to tell you. I got nothing. All right, people, I am wrapping up evening cricket bike check. As you can see, there's nothing really going on here, but look at that. Is that a clue? Did they leave us a clue?
Okay, now normally what he does is he walks to school every Saturday morning and he does just a little inspirational type of conversation. Takes him like 2 minutes to walk to work from where his house is to the school that he's showing there. In this case, he's kind of being a little bit silly with it and just trying to do something else. But again, how can you incorporate things that you're doing on a daily basis somehow into some sort of what I'm going to call journaling that would then allow you to better connect with something you're doing in your lessons? just again, another thought, not saying that it's necessarily going to fit every need, but it's there. So below that, then I have several other tools that I think are good. Giphy is where you can find GIFs, and GIFs are those animated pictures, so to speak. I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about, maybe not by name, but you know, it's like a video without sound, and it's just going to keep looping over and over. But Giphy, there's all kinds of GIFs out there. And again, how could you incorporate that just as part of Teams? You've got, you know, click on this, and it's just a funny one that makes them laugh for a few minutes before they get into your lesson. Pixaloop is an app on your phone that you can get. I don't know for sure if it's on iPads. I'm sure it is, but I know I have an Android phone and I use it. And if I had more time, I would connect and show you what it looks like. But I'll try to show you a picture of that through my phone here. And hopefully that will make a little bit of sense still. But what you can do is you can take a still image, and then you can make different parts of it move. And it's just another one of those things that is kind of different. So if my phone will cooperate, I don't know if you can tell here, but the fire is kind of moving, but that's just a still image. And so I just used Pixaloop. And what I did with that was simply just used a couple of the tools within it and said, I want this part to move and this part to stay the same. So it's just another way to kind of make some interesting pictures. I also have this one that's really kind of creepy, but it was one of the ones when I was first playing with it. And I don't know if it'll come off very good on the camera here, but it's not going to show very well. But I basically made it look like my beard was growing. And so my beard just kept moving. It looked like water flowing. It was really weird. But I have a new beard now because of COVID, so I had to play with something that way. But again, how could you then tie that into other stuff? So, a science teacher, a math teacher, as a math teacher, I could make some of the numbers on a page move around a little bit, or jiggle a little bit before I start doing something with them. Maybe use that as an introduction to my video, so I could just kind of have a neat little, intro theme type thing to it. And those are tools that are more like you're bored and you have some extra time and you want to play with being really creative. Canva is a lot like Adobe Spark, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. And then Diddy. I love Diddy. Diddy is another app on your phone, and I use it a lot of times for my video intros. But you can take what's famous songs that are out right now, and you can essentially it's famous songs that are out, but somebody else singing them. And so then you can type in some words of what you want the video to be, and it will sing those words to the beat or to the tune of the famous song. And I was going to try to play one for you here. Of course, I've got all kinds of Diddy update stuff it's trying to give me because I haven't used it in a while. So bear with me. Oh no. It says in October Diddy's going away, so that's a bad thing. So if you're going to use this, use it fast. Anyway, it's going to be harder to show you what I was trying to show you on that one. So that was one I did for TCA, just, kind of an introduction thing. Again, cheesy, but just kind of another creative tool. And there's tons of those out there. The point of that is just when you find some of these other tools that you just search through the App Store and look for different things. And then how could you play that and get it in, and then use it as part of an intro to something, use it as just a thing you share out just randomly with your kids. Those kind of things are really easy to put into Flipgrid as kind of the prompt behind it too. So you can get started with things that way. Now the teacher takeover, this is something I think personally would be really fun, but let the students, you know, you're going to do two lessons today or this week on, you know, again, I'll use water cycle. Well, have your 2 lessons and you still do it, but then the 3rd lesson is them teaching the water cycle, however they want to do it. So you're going to have some kids standing out in the backyard with the hose and, you know, showing the hose, you know, dropping into a bucket, and then shows the bucket 5 days later or something, or empties the bucket out like it's 5 days. They're going to get creative as all get out. Let them. Give them those opportunities to become the teacher. Again, that's where Flipgrid would make it really easy for them to do a video version of that, but maybe some other kid wants to do that through, you know, a text lesson. And so they're going to build that. Somebody else is going to do it through, you know, a podcast. We never know what they're going to come up with, but at that point, it's total freedom for them to teach the lesson however they want. And it's really simple for you because you're still getting them engaged with the content. You're just giving them that creative freedom to do things in different ways. And so that's what the teacher takeover concept is. They're going to now do this. Now you could also, in some form or fashion, let them pretend like they're being you. And so that gives them another little twist so they can kind of poke fun at you. I know in my math classes, kids always had things that I did that I didn't realize I did that, you know, they would come back years later and make fun of me about and stuff. So give them that challenge. You know, what's a trait that, you know, Miss Denton has that you just think is funny? See if you can tie that into your teacher for the day lesson that you're going to do. And they'll get more interested in doing stuff like that when they can take advantage of those. Now, teacher office hours, I just put that on there to remind you that you can connect with your kids in different ways. You could have those open office hours on Zoom. Open office hours still means you have your passwords and all those things set the way you'd want to. But maybe you just set up, you know, every, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day. You're literally going to be on Zoom live, waiting to see if any of them have questions, and just let them come in and engage with you that way. You might find that they come in and do that just to talk. Others will do it because they have questions about the lesson. I just didn't want to forget something as simple as that. So let's look at Capwing. And again, you know, this is the link to that, or not the link. This is the image, one of the images of something that I did with it. But when you come into Capwing, you've got lots of options here. I'm trying to get it back to the main page. Okay, so you can use the studio, and that's going to allow you can read all these things. You can take GIFs, videos, memes, and other things and edit them. They've got a video maker, so you can go in and add something. So this is where you create your Loom video. Then you have a ditty that you want to put in at the beginning. Well, now you could come into Capwing. You could have your video that's your main part, but you put the Capwing in front of it. And then maybe you put, you know, something else creative at the end of it. But you could kind of splice things together that way. So that's where Video Maker could come in handy. The meme generator, that's what I used to create that silly meme that was just an example. The subtitler, if you needed to put subtitles. If you want to remove a background, there's lots of tools that do that. But not, you know, you don't want the grass and stuff. You just want to put this cat somewhere really silly. Maybe you're going to put it on your head. And so you take a picture of you, and then you have this cat on your head, but you need the background to be removed. So again, fun, creative things that you can do that way. You can read through the rest of what's available here because I'm going to run out of time and not give you guys a chance to talk if I keep going for too long. But it's got all kinds of different tools in there that you can do within Capwing. It does want you to pay for it, but you can publish things. They just say they're public. You know, so be a little bit aware of what you're putting in there as far as content, because it could be seen by others. But I don't pay for it, and I've been able to do several different things with it. I just publish it and download it. And once it's downloaded, I can do what I want with it. So again, kind of food for thought on that one. But you know, all I had to do is I clicked on that meme maker. It has a spot. I clicked in the middle of it. It said edit the image or change or upload image. I uploaded my image. I clicked in this spot. I added text. I clicked in this spot. I added text, and then I was done. And I had my meme. That's not a real creative meme, but I needed to do it in a hurry while I was getting stuff ready for this. Adobe Spark, you can make flyers, videos, and web pages. The thing I like about it is it's simple to use. I would suggest you look at the webinar that we have On the For Teachers page, you can see the link for that recording. Go back and look at that though if you want more in-depth lessons, or by all means, let us know if you want another Adobe session, and we'll start offering some of those things. We're going to be sending out a survey to you in the next couple days, and when we do, it's going to give you an option to, you know, kind of tell us what types of trainings you really would like. So just keep that in mind. But what's nice about those is all the same things I've already talked about. It's just tools for you to go create something that you could then use in your lessons. Now, this one is probably my favorite. And I say this, I think I know everything that Brian's doing on this to make it happen, but I have not actually done this myself. And so it's kind of one of my projects when I have time that I'd like to do. But there's a Memoji app or a Memoji component that you can use within FaceTime and different things on an iPad. And then there is an Android app for it. But watch what Brian did with it.
Yeah. Today's Memoji Minute is brought to you with a little sauce on it. Let's check it out. Now did you know that you can make your Nearpod legendary by adding 3 free videos from Dope's vocabulary? Increase engagement and your students will connect, no doubt. And the quietest student in the back of the room will jump and shout. Take the learning to another level, you will see. They'll feel empowered as they demonstrate their mastery. So give it a try now. Fulfill the when, why, how, and make learning relevant, culturally guaranteed.
So he's super creative anyway. He's got a great voice. He sings and does different things. He now works for Nearpod. He used to work for the Region 11 Education Service Center. What I love about that is the Memoji part of it that he has built in here. I mean, that looks just like him, but it's a cartoon version of him. So if you can get in and make a cartoon version of yourself, and then again, splice that into other videos and things that you do, just think about your kids' reactions to that. They'd be, oh my gosh, that's Miss Bird. That looks just like her. How'd she do that? They would love that kind of stuff. So that's one I've got to explore a little bit more. Once I am confident that I can do that and teach you how to do it, we will have some sessions on that because I think it's fun. There used to be another tool that I used called Gabsy, but it closed. I don't know why. It was the greatest thing ever. And I actually have like cartoon body and everything of me, full motion and doing different things. And it looks kind of like me, not as much as that looks like Brian. But again, Bitmojis through, you can get the Bitmoji through Snapchat, I think it is, and some other stuff. You know, create those things that look like you or as much like you as you can, and then add them into things. All of those are super just kind of random things that you can do. But again, as you start to explore those creative tools, you're going to find different things that you can do with them that are going to, you know, impress me more than anything I come up with. I'm going to kind of stop here because I want to get some feedback on things that you're thinking of right now. Maybe things that, you know, I'd like to explore that one a little bit more. Or, John, you haven't covered this. How can I do this? And I want to address Mandy's point about teams specifically. You know, the team's assignment infrastructure is pretty limited. You're going to have your links to things that you can do, you know, all that stuff. That's okay. But again, your assignment could simply be, hey, you're going to go to Flipgrid and you can get a nice link in Flipgrid within those teams assignments. And now they're going to go out to Flipgrid and do any of these other things out there that you have. But I need to hear from you guys on, am I just totally clueless and this isn't going to work? Does this start to give you some ideas and some things that you can think about? Where are you in the process right now of kind of ways to jazz up the basic things you're doing? I'll let you, I guess we'll do it one at a time. I'll let Joanna start. If you don't have much to say, then just say that and we can move on to the next person.
I'm just thinking of like, I know when our fourth graders were introduced to Adobe Spark this year, they did a poetry unit. So I'm just trying to think of, I saw on there how there are flyers and web pages. So I'm trying to think of how we can get them with reading and writing to create that. And I know that they enjoyed doing that with Adobe Spark. And it was easy once they got into it initially.
Yeah. And
so I'm just trying to think of how I can do it with reading and writing integrated.
And Janelle can probably, since she knows better of the teaks and stuff that you guys have, she could probably get more specific. with you on some of those ideas, but to me, Adobe Spark, especially with them having those apps on their iPad already, I think that's a great one to throw out their ability to create something, even with the video again, if they did that. But the flyer idea, even just creating a flyer that, they make their own book cover for one of the books or stories that you've done. Or if it's a story, obviously, it doesn't have a book cover, you have to create the book cover for this, do that in Adobe Spark, and you have to include these elements. It's got to have, whatever 3 elements would make sense to put on that within that English unit. I'm not a elementary English expert.
Do you know if the flyer looks kind of more like a brochure?
It's 1 page, but you can get
It's a 1 page. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be
There's actually, John, there's many templates
Right.
that
Oh, okay.
so actually I think one of the templates is like a bulletin look. And I've got a gazillion ideas for Adobe Spark that you could use with reading and writing. So I'll may get a list together and push that out to the ELAR teachers if that would be something you would like.
I definitely think so. I usually like to get them to actually do an actual foldable of research a place you'd like to visit. And I have a template that I've created from last year, but basically, what are the prices, what are the attractions, what are the hotel options, and like put it into why should we go visit this place. And so I was just wondering if Adobe Spark would be a good place to do something like that.
Without a doubt, definitely, yes.
Yeah, and I shared the link to the document that Janelle started, and we'll type in some of these ideas. Janelle, just because you're better at keeping up with stuff than I am, if you'll add in her idea of Spark and what we just talked about there. Cindy, how about you?
I really, I like the part about using the different emojis and things like that. Since I teach 3rd grade, it has to be something that's really just going to reach out and grab them, but yet it has to be simple enough because there is so much parent involvement right now with distance learning. And I'm learning real quick that these parents are not tech savvy. So it has to be something that's easy to, for them to grab a hold of and learn from without a lot of, introducing something new. I tried to do a Flipgrid with them and they got completely lost. So that kind of backfired on me real fast. And so that's something that I really, really need to try to do more when we get back into the classroom so that these kids are introduced to it in 3rd grade before they move on.
Okay, and we can put together some videos, showing specifically on the iPad and stuff how that would look, so that we can help you get them into that as well. I know some of that, they've got to be able to get to the video and everything, but we can definitely help you kind of prep them for Flipgrid for the stretch run here if we want to do it that way. I do think Flipgrid would be one of the really easy ways for you to get them engaged in a different manner. We just need to look at your grid. We need to look at kind of an introduction video that we can share with them. Maybe we share that 1 week and then the next week we actually have them get into it, or it's part of the same lesson and we just sequence it in the right way. But I really think we can help them or help them get through that. The other stuff, like, some of these things, even if it's just you using those and then incorporating that, sharing it through Seesaw or some of these other things, that will at least get their attention. They'll be there. They may not have to touch any of it. So I think all that's good, but we definitely want to help you with Flipgrid there. So Janelle and I will be following up with you later. Let's see, Patricia, I know I didn't talk to you at the very beginning, but if you want to go ahead and share some ideas you have.
Well, our unit right now is multiplication and division, and I thought about using the loom and doing some examples, incorporating some things outside that they could actually use as an example, and then they can go on and maybe show me some examples as well.
Yeah, I think that'd be really easy for them to do. They could take, their family outside and they're going to do this. They can have paper cutouts of something. They can do balls on the screen, or in the yard or something. Lots of different things could be done there, but I like that.
And I liked your idea where you said that they can teach a lesson. We actually did that in one of our choice boards, and some of them did that and they did really well and they enjoyed it. So that was really a good idea.
Yeah, it's amazing what they come up with when you give them some freedom, and when they have the time to do it is the other thing. And of course, there's plenty of kids out there that don't get, like my son has access to a laptop, he has access to my wife's iPad, her iPhone, you know, he can do all kinds of stuff. I don't have to show him things, but there's a lot of kids that don't get that access on a regular basis that I wish they did. But we know when we put it in their hands long enough, they figure it out. But I like that too. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. Mandy?
I was gonna do the scavenger hunt through the forms. How do you set that up to do that so they can take pictures and put in there?
Let me just show you that because that's something I can show pretty fast here. I say that as long as my computer won't be too laggy. It's acting that way right now. The key to it is you're looking for a file upload question type. And so, you know, I'm assuming you've used forms for some other stuff or maybe dabbled in that at least for the regular question types. Once you have that form started, you click for new question, and there's a file upload question type. Click on that, and then you're ready to go. My computer's still trying to load, so rather than just a bunch
I'll look for it.
Yeah, once you get into that, then it's got an option. You just want to put it at the highest file upload question type, and then be aware that they will have to sign in. But if they're going in through Clever and stuff at the middle school, like, you know, they've been trained to do, that should work pretty smooth for them. Elementary kids trying to use that, I would recommend using Forms or Seesaw instead, because that's what Seesaw is built for. But elementary level, we can talk about, you know, if you want to try to do something like that, how to get going with it. But yeah, you know, again, for them to be able to say, oh, I get to upload something, that's not revolutionary, but it gives them something different to do. Mm-hmm. And that can be as simple as them taking a picture of their paper. They wrote math problems down on paper, take a picture of it and upload it into a form. Not the best way to collect assignments every time, because teams would be much better, but an alternative that they might prefer at some point.
And then I was going to do the Flipgrid teach a lesson, and have them teach it how they want to be taught, to see how to teach it differently, how they're going to learn, how they want to learn, to see if I can change what I'm doing.
I really like that little twist you had there of in their preferred format part of that. That could be powerful. And I saw a couple nods from the others here too, so I think they like that as well. Janelle, I'm going to give you just 2 minutes to be able to share a couple quick ideas, because I want to ask another question of everybody before we finish. You're muted if you.
Okay. An idea that I had is, I think it would be really fun, and I'm elementary focused here, but this would be good for any topic. I mean, any level. Is for maybe once a week, you to have a cook with the teacher session where you're cooking, and in my head, I'm picturing you demonstrating. You've got math concepts, you've got showing them how to measure things out and how measurements, of course, you're going to talk your way through that, but how combining mixtures, that's your science. You could bring in text features, that's your ELAR. And I think it's also really interesting. Kids would love to see their teacher cook and then maybe submit a picture of the finished product. So I don't know. I just thought that would be a good activity once a week to do a cook with my teacher or watch my teacher cook. And then, I don't know. I was just, as I was thinking, maybe a good idea to try to bring in several different subject areas and kids to be connected to that and show real world ideas. What do y'all think about that?
Janelle, that's funny, because I just did an activity for my choice board 2 weeks ago. I can't really be considered cooking, but basically I just showed them how to take I recorded myself on Seesaw and made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with chips on the side and showed them this is before. And then I showed them, I cut it into four triangles, and then I put it up like 2 pieces here, 2 pieces here, and put a whole center where the chips were in the middle, and showed them before and after, and we called it like making your food fancy.
Oh yeah.
And I challenged them to do that with a sandwich and a side of their choice or anything else. And that's probably the biggest response I've had on the choice board activities, because I had some kids drizzling stuff on their apple slices, or cutting their apple slices and doing a pretty design with it,
Yeah, and how fun. And you could even, I'm just, as you were saying that, I'm thinking bringing in fractions if you're a maths, talking about dividing up fractions. I don't know. It's just, once you kind of get out of the box and think about some real world stuff, it's kind of limitless what you could do. And another thing we have to understand is that some kids just don't have parents that maybe that they see that all the time. And so it may be something, that they're like, wow, that's awesome. So anyway, that's all. I'll add those to the Word document.
Yeah, I'm basically just trying to think of what's another thing I can do with them, because they loved doing a before and after picture or video. Some of them chose to do a video of it.
We had some of our kids divide their lunch and then tell us the equal parts and the fractions for each. And they had to explain it. So they took whatever they were having for lunch or maybe a snack, and they had to do fractions with it.
I can tell my team member for math.
Yeah, I think anytime you can bring that real world into it and give them some other way to see, number one right now, some other way to see you personally, I think that adds power to it. And then I think when you can give them that freedom, that flexibility to show their, I'm going to say skills, I guess, but to show what things interest them. My son, he's dying to be a YouTuber. I don't know why. He watches YouTube all the time. I guess that's why, but he's got a little video camera and he tries to record stuff, and he doesn't put anything on YouTube, but he loves doing that stuff. So you're going to have the kids that they're into that. You're going to have the kid that's into, mountain biking. And so they're going to want to show something about mountain biking, and how could they relate that to what they're doing? Take your favorite hobby or your favorite activity and apply it to some lesson that we've covered this year. I'm an English teacher and I got somebody going, I like baseball. How am I going to cover that? Well, I could write a story about it, or I could find some story that somebody else has written about baseball. And why did I like this story? What did it have in it? I mean, you can get kind of crazy with some of the thought process, but the thing about this right now is in these last few weeks, play with whatever idea you can come up with that makes sense for you. Like in Cindy's case, she's tried, Flipgrid. She had problems with the technical aspect of it, but I'm sure her idea was good. So let's get the technical aspect out of the way, figure out a way to do that, and then really explore that other idea, again, or explore something else that you're wanting to do, and just give them some freedom to do it. Like I said, the reason I like Flipgrid is because it's an easy thing. They can literally set the device down and do whatever it is that they need to do, and get that back to you and back to their classmates in some other way. But all these other tools give them added options, and they're going to come up with a million other things within their own devices that they have, or just their own creativity. And it could be as simple as they're going to do something in their house with no technology, and then they're going to write a little paragraph about what it is that they did and explain it to you. And now they're having to think through and be descriptive and everything else. So the sky's the limit on it. If nothing else, that's what I wanted you to hear is, go down to one assignment of content and play with 2 assignments that are something out there, or do 2 in 1. You've got that freedom to do that. Nobody's going to come back to you right now and say, oh, you're just, hurting my kid by not giving them added math work or something like that. We are at 4:00. I'm more than willing to leave this open and let you guys kind of talk to each other, but I do want to shut up so that you guys can do that more. But if you need to leave, feel free to do that as well. But any other, thought processes, things that you want to play off of?
I did drop that. Can you hear me, John?
Yes.
I did drop that idea into the Word document about that I had in the CIA team. Just, I don't know if we're going to do it district wide. I would love to see that done district wide, but I didn't get any good feedback on that. So Anyway, but just if somebody wanted to do it with their class, the idea of the Genius Hour where kids, and it's kind of hitting on what you said, but where the kids actually choose something to teach, either something that they've learned brand new or something that they're an expert in. And I loved the idea of older kids teaching the younger kids, like pairing up with putting it out on Flipgrid and the younger kids learning from the older kids. I thought that would be an awesome way, but it doesn't look like we're going to do it as a district, but it might be something that individual classes could do.
And we can definitely help you find, you know, a middle school or a high school classroom if you're elementary or vice versa. If something like that intrigues you, that you want to try to pair up with somebody, participation in any given class is going to be hit or miss, but we can definitely help you with some of that. The other thing I'm going to throw out there is just a live session. I put Facebook Live on the document, but it could be, you know, through Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, any of these other social platforms that are out there. And again, you know that not everybody would be able to connect at that exact time, but Zoom is another way of, some of you are already doing that. And that's the safer method because we can keep it contained within ours. The social media ones would be one way. It would just be you presenting stuff and explaining to something what you're doing. And that might be in conjunction with that, you know, daily or weekly share idea that I talked about. And maybe it's every day. You're just going to do some sort of live event where you're explaining some sort of component to, you know, what it is that you teach. So, you know, I'm a math teacher and I'm teaching fractions. So today I'm going to show how to do fractions this way. Tomorrow I'm going to show how to do fractions another way. Tomorrow I'm going to show, the next day I'm going to show it another way. That's what I think the power of that, you know, daily live video component. Obviously it'll get recorded wherever you do it, so people will still be able to watch it. But if you're on Twitter, it's really easy to do a Twitter live or Instagram live or Facebook live or any of those things. And then that would just be the ones that can engage in it. Some of them, you know, their parents won't have those accounts and won't be interested in going and finding that, but you could share the link to it in any of those platforms, and then somebody that has an account can find it. So if that, you know, that kind of thing's of interest, just reach out to Janelle and I will help you get that going. What else do you guys have though? I keep talking too much. All right, so an hour's plenty of time for you to get your ideas and then be able to move on. That's fair. So we'll wrap this up. Again, anything that you guys have questions on, hit us up. Janelle, well, I've got this link, so I'll send out, when I send the recording to this to everybody, I'll also send this document with the ideas and then the link to the PowerPoint so that you guys have access to that stuff. Now on Thursday and Friday, or no, Thursday and next Tuesday, we will get more specific, you know, ideas of things, other places where you can steal other great ideas, people to connect with that we know are doing creative things. So if you're wanting to continue to expand on the ideas and stuff, then I think you'll like Thursday's session and next Tuesday's session as well. And it will be much less of me talking and more of Janelle and Joe, which is a good thing because they do it much better than I do. All right, I appreciate y'all being a part of this. It always helps to have teachers that are active and interested in learning the different things. So we appreciate your time.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
If you have any specific questions, send me an email. You know, I'll help you. Thanks, y'all. Bye.